up for and came in very well. We're also live streaming it to the LinkedIn. So just put on your seatbelts. We'll see how that goes. We're on a ride. And I'm just trying to bring my Zoom screen down a little bit here. Let me see what I got here. Zoom it up. Zoom technology. And so now the meeting is live streaming, I'm assuming. Sam, how we looking?
Good to go. Good to go. So we're live on LinkedIn and YouTube. So thank you all for
Okay.
joining.
Yeah, just say what you're saying. Thank you all for being here. Like it's Thursday, right? And in February in 2025, and you are taking some time for you. I so appreciate you being here. You're here with Sam and Sherry of Broadmind. And Sam is the wizard behind all of this, putting the session together, the live streaming. So if there's any challenges, just reach out to him. We're trying to make this better and better every single time. Sam, any other words that we want to tell everyone?
No, just excited and thankful for y'all spending your time with us. So as Sherry said, any questions in the chat, please feel free to tell us where you're calling from, and thank you for joining us. Thank you,
Yeah,
Sherry.
beautiful. And Sam is the magic in Broadmind, doing all of the care of people that touch our organization and the training. We're not just a training organization. We talk. We do everything we need to that is mentally healthy to support you in your workplace and where you live and play. Tina, I love you got your camera on. I'm going to give you 50 points. Oh, good to see you. Very good to see you. I am, again, really glad that you're here. There may be some things going on. Can you hear that, Sam? There's a background noise. If no, that's good. I'm just really happy about that. I'm in a different location today, but thankfully, virtual, you can do it almost anywhere. So we're here today for a variety of different reasons. One of them, what we sort of pulled you in with, is the idea of how do we manage stress and how do we support our teams, our workplaces, ourselves when we're experiencing significant stressors. And so my hope with our hour today is to talk about it, find out what is your biggest challenges, some of the things that you're facing, and then also maybe bring to you some of the skills, some of the knowledge that we've accumulated over the past number of years. I've had the unique opportunity, my name is Sherry Lachine, and I've had the unique opportunity to work with veterans and first responders. I'm a veteran myself, and I've come to realize that the more skills and knowledge, the more that we learn about mental health and mental well-being, the more we're able to help the people around us. And the more we're able to live our lives the way that we choose, and we can thrive. So some of the skills that we're going to go through today, you may have heard of before, and some of them may be new, but I'm hoping what it does is it reinvigorates or helps to build some of the foundation for your next steps. Oh, and we have next steps too. So I'm also going to share with you some of the next steps that we have. So, you know what? Because you're here, because this is time for you, and for those who are live streaming and watching, and those here in the Zoom room who can actually, oh, you can hear that. Oh, you can hear that now. Okay, so Sam, you can hear the background. So I'm going to let people know that I'm actually on a cruise ship in the middle of the Caribbean. There, I've said it. I am a very fortunate individual, but the idea is the captain's now telling us something about the sea, and I'm sure it's really important. I'm going to let my partner who I'm traveling with, my mother, listen to that and tell me about it later. But thank you for being here with me. Isn't that amazing, being in the middle of the ocean or the sea and still being able to do this? I'm #thankful. This little check-in that you have on your screen here is for you. It's just a moment for you to go, yeah, how am I feeling? Like, what's going on with me right now? And I'm going to tell you, this is a skill set, but it's also fun. So check out the scale of guinea pig and take stock of where you are. If you want, put it in the chat. How are you feeling today? If not, if you're just sort of taking a moment and going, yeah, Sherry, where am I today? I will throw this over to Sam and get a little bit of a check-in. Sam? How are you doing?
You know it. I put it in the chat. Number one all day. Just feeling it. Excited to be here, and just thankful. So thank you, Sherry. How about you?
I love that you said that. I started off as an eight, and then migrated to a beautiful six. In about 3 hours, I will feel five. I kind of know my vibe. Yeah. Anyone else? Check it in. Tina is a solid six. I love that. Yeah, and that feels right. That feels right. It's good to see you. Um, well done. But again, these are just moments to check in on you. And you know what? If you do that with your team, give them a moment to discuss how they're feeling, maybe why they're in that situation. Just nice short check ins can help people feel seen and heard. It's a foundation piece to mental health and well being, helping others feel seen and heard, especially the people that, we're responsible reports, our teams. So it can be quirky the way that we check in with each other. Like say now it's the cruise director. This is it's going to go on for the next little while. I apologize, but just join me in this cabin. Okay, so here's our path for the hour. One of the things that I think I've been learning, and I've seen that in the people that I get to spend time with on a lot of these sessions, is we talk about stress. We talk about the impacts that we have on our bodies, but we also look at the impacts that we can see in other people. So spotting stressors and understanding stress is a foundation tool. So we'll talk about that, spotting stressors. And then once we sort of lean into that, and I'm going to ask you too to share with us any of those stressors that you're experiencing in your workplace or at home or in daily living. And then we're going to talk about how do you manage that? What are the foundation tools to manage your stressors and to support others when they're going through stressful times? Because we all do. So that's the supporting others piece. And then as leaders, well, and sometimes I like to say that we're all leaders without titles, right? Like at any point, we have the opportunity to support other people. And any position that you hold it could be a leadership position. But what we'll talk about here too is those who are given roles as managers and leaders. What tools can you use to help others who are going through stressful times? Because the things that we say and the things that we do, they have a really significant impact. And it sounds like they were quiet now, so we can keep on going. And I'd also like to share with you some of the next steps. And Sam and I are going to share with you some of the work that we're doing right across Canada. Some of the training and the tools that we've come to realize are the foundation pieces and the day-to-day skills for managing mental well-being in your workplace and at home. Because you know what? Workplace and home, it's still you. And these skills can be applied to both. So that's our path today. So let's talk about stressors. The funny thing is, up until recently, the word stress caused me stress. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Sherry, you seem stressed. Like I would feel that. And so that's interesting. So there's a narrative around stress that maybe we need to lean into a little bit. But the idea is sometimes we know when stressors are impacting us, that feeling of anxiety, that feeling of dread, that heightened awareness, or that quick reaction. And so I've been hearing from people in workplaces that there's a lot of things that are going on that causes them those feelings, like heavy workloads, deadlines, peopling, communication, conflict, lack of control, uncertainty, big change. I'm throwing out a lot of stuff here. Is there anything out there that you are like, yeah, this is what I'm dealing with in the workplace, or these are the stressors that I want to focus on? Over to you. Anything you think of? Do people cause stress? All of them. You're here. Yeah. Yeah, and it could be even the things that you don't even notice, those deadlines, the fact that you are working without taking breaks, eating lunch at your desk, the looks that you get from people when you took your lunch break a little bit longer, right? All of these type of things can compound and give us those anxiety moments and those stressor moments. And so I think what we need to pay attention to, and I've put this slide up, and many of us are talking about this now, is that fight, flight, freeze response. And the narrative in the psychology realm comes to us with this idea that, back in way back times, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years ago, we would react to threats like tigers, threats like things trying to hurt us. And so the way we would react fundamentally is, well, we'd get out of there, right, if we could, or we'd fight it if we could, or sometimes we would just freeze, just like that deer in the headlights or deer in the woods. The interesting thing about all of those reactions aren't that those are from way back times. Those are happening today to everything that impacts us. We are reacting to stressors like no one liking our picture on social media, or the text from the boss that just came over and over again saying, we need to meet, we need to meet, we need to meet. Or why are you late? Or the deadlines that just keep accumulating. Or watching your team, struggle or have challenges of their own that manifest in things like anger, irritation, poor communication. Understanding that our bodies are actually reacting the same to all of those stressors or challenges, just like there's a damn tiger coming at you. And I said, damn, 2025 is the year where Sherry is no longer swearing. I'm really working towards that. Although someone just ordered me a t-shirt and the t-shirt says swearing helps. So I kind of think that's, and I thank you, Kathy, for sending me that t-shirt. I appreciate you. So the idea here is Cindy, I love that. Yeah, it does. And actually, you know what? I got that t-shirt is from Dr. Robin Hanley Defoe. And she wrote a book called A Calm Within the Storm. And that's actually on our book list. Sam, actually, would it be okay if you plop our book list in the chat? Thanks. Yeah, it's a great book on building resilience. And you'll see that some of these concepts are knitted through that book. Because these are things that we need to understand now more than ever, because the stressors, the challenges are coming at us fast and furiously, right? We have our devices that are a constant source of tigers, and they're always with us. I'm a child of the 70s. We didn't have that stuff. I mean, we had our own stressors, like get out of the house and don't come back until like 10 or whatever, drinking from the hose kind of thing. These are all real things. We didn't see those as stressors. We thought that was the way we lived. But can you imagine how many stressors are coming at people now more than ever? Even the access to news that we have, the details, the pictures of things that are happening around the world. Tigers are everywhere. And it's not just us as leaders and managers, it's our teams, the people that we spend time with. And again, our reactions to people going through significant stressors, it matters. So I put a little list here together about how do you know when you are going through a stressor or when your team member is going through a stressor. And one of the things you can pay attention to is when people react instead of respond. Like they're quick to be irritated or frustrated instead of this measured, yeah, let me think about that and I'll get back to you tomorrow. Or let me think about that, I'll get back to you in a few moments. But these pause moments, these calm narratives, that could be something that we pay attention to without judgment and recognize that someone's being impacted by a tiger or many tigers in their lives. For us and for others, we can recognize physiological changes. Like I tend to do this every now and then, or this to get a sense of where am I? And with others, you maybe see a little bit more perspiration, right? Or shallow breathing, or you can see that there's something going on with them physiologically, and they weren't on a treadmill, like a physical treadmill. So these are things that you can pay attention to. And even this idea where your thinking brain goes offline, that happens to me. Like when I'm in a big stress moment, dunk, I forget names. I forget, things the list of things to do. Words sometimes go poof from my head. Not as much anymore. But old Sherry, the old versions of Sherry, yeah, that was a lot. If I was in a stress response, I was not my best self. So we might be able to see that in other people too, where they forget certain things. And instead of judging, we just pay attention to, okay, they are in a significant stress response. And for us, pro tip, when your voice in your head starts to go over and over and it starts ruminating, maybe that's something to pay attention to. This ruminating thing that I'm talking about is where you constantly try and solve something from the past or worry about something in the future. Your brain's trying to make sense of things and it just won't stop. That can be something that we pay attention to as well. And maybe your teammate, your team member shares that with you too. So these are things that we're paying attention to get a sense of, well, where are people? Where are we in these moments? And so I wanted to share some of the skills, the knowledge around that, so these foundation pieces. And this is something I stole from Wounded Warriors Canada. Thank you, Wounded Warriors Canada, where like a decade plus ago, they were helping veterans and their families and first responders understand what's really happening in their body. And they tend to call it this lizard brain, this old part of our brain that goes into fight, flight, freeze to protect ourselves. But maybe it no longer serves us in this moment because there's no tiger there. We're just treating it like a tiger. We can actually treat it, that text, that email, that workload piece is something different than a tiger. But in order to do that, we have to go into our bodies and lessen that response because we're on a gas brake system. Our nervous system, our warning system is pushing us forward to fight, flight, or we could get that brake going so we can be calmer, more present. So there are immediate tools that you can use, and there are long-term tools that you can use because this is a muscle that we can practice. And can you imagine if we all get to a point where we're starting to see the tigers, recognize what's going on, use skills and tools to be able to be calmer, more present, more curious, and more available to the people around us? Huh. Wouldn't that be a place to work? I'm going to pause here for a second. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions about this gas brake, this tiger, the sources of stress, and how we can recognize that in others? Has anyone ever seen someone in a stress response? Anyone? You can think about it. Go, Sam.
Sure, we do actually have a response to a stressor that somebody put, Andrew Harkness. He said that being a thought leader versus daydreaming.
Oh.
So just
So is that what he said? A stress response is being a thought leader and not daydream? Or sorry, just so I understand.
No, sorry. That's like a stressor that's affecting in the work.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, because there's room for both. Thanks, Andrew. There's a lot there. Yeah, constantly in that mode. I can feel it now actually in my body when I think of that, trying to be on top of things, being the leading edge. Oh yeah. Especially when you're trying to bring skills and knowledge to people, especially when you're trying to say, I'm here, I'm relevant. I hear you. Thank you. Cindy, it could be a physical reaction from tears to shutting down. Here. Yep, I'm a crier. And I tell you, at the beginning of my career, when I was in the military, that crying did not serve me. Anytime there was a stressor, it just came. I make it seem like it's just gently falling out of my eyes. No, I think it squirted at velocity out of my eyes. And it was hard because that was the only response that I had. I didn't know how to train myself into other responses that could serve me in the moment. Oh, I still cry, and I love crying. I love eating, I love sleeping, I love crying. We have a t-shirt that says that. They're beautiful things. But yeah, that reaction, tears, even shutting down, going into this, hypo kind of protection phase, that could be you protecting yourself from those stressors. There's a lot more here, right? There's a lot more to discuss when we talk about these reactions. Oh, thanks, Sam. You put the t-shirt there. Yeah, let's all wear the t-shirt. Eating, sleeping, crying, join me. Join me. It's a movement. Beautiful. So again, there's a lot more here. There's a lot more to discuss, to learn about our stress response, our nervous system, and it does take time. Today, what we're doing is talking about that it exists, and it's something that we can manage to the best of our ability in the short term and longer term. We also talk about this in what Sam and I call the self-care stack. We talk more about how do you manage that nervous system piece, that emotional piece, that body piece, because self-care is more than a bubble bath. It's some of the really tangible, bite-sized, yummy pieces that builds your foundation so you can be your best you. And we do have a session coming up on March 4th. I think we were only charging $29 for the hour, and we dive into that because you deserve care. And so Sam also put the description of the self-care stack. Thank you. On the screen, I've also got this continuum. It's the mental health continuum that, yes, we did steal from the Department of National Defense. It's been around for decades. But what I like to say is this is a thermometer. I used to be an engineer back in the good old days. No, these are the good old days. There's a song about that. But I loved tools. And when I got into mental health and mental well-being, I still leaned into tools. I wanted more tools. And I loved this continuum because to me, it was a thermometer for mental health. Because our mental health could be good, but it could also be poor. Right? Just like our physical health could be good, it could be poor. And in our physical health, we got a gosh darned, see, that's not swearing, gosh darned thermometer that basically says, I know when I'm operating at my normal. What is that, 98.6 in our thermometer? But if it starts eking to 99, we know that something's going on in our bodies. Well, look at this thermometer piece here where we've got our healthy, how we react, how we see the world, how we manage our minds and our bodies. We all have our own green, our own healthy. And so that's maybe our 98.6 potentially. But when things start to eke at 99 and more, we are reacting to something. And those are things we can pay attention to. How do we react to stressors? How do we, feel through adversity or challenges, big, small, cumulative? And so paying attention to what that reaction actually is, not only in you, but in the people around you. And I tend to think things like irritation, frustration, or what we were talking about before, quick to react, right? No calm inner voice. Body is, heart rate, breathing, things are in this engaged stress response. We might be reacting to something. That's okay. Right? It's okay to be not okay. It's okay to feel your feels and to be in that moment. And when we give ourselves grace and our team, the people around us, grace to be reacting to stuff, wow, isn't that amazing? Because then isn't that a moment where we can help people get back to green? Because if we live in this reaction phase, and for me it is irritability, that's I'm doing this is my checking my pulse, right? This irritability to me is I'm in my yellow. And if I stay there, irritable, snappy, not my best self, not taking care of myself, that could push me into this orange, this injury, hard to manage, survival mode, cope. Can I hear a hell yeah? See, that's what I got here. Hell yeah for the cope survival. Thank you, Zoom. Zoom did the hands up for me. That I think we all understand at some point in our lives. We just went through the motions. Maybe we're gritting our teeth or there was a heavy blanket around us. Because if we live like that, maybe then this pushes us over into an illness, right? This diagnosed condition. And our healthcare system, especially our mental health care system, is a red healthcare system. We wait till that illness. I got to put my hand down. There it goes. And that's unfortunate because it is harder to connect with the professional supports and the care that you need, irrespective of where you are in the world. I'm from Canada, and our healthcare system is trying, but there's some struggles there, especially our mental health care system. And sometimes the wait lists are super long. Recovery is possible. People can move out of red. It's harder. It's much better to find people in the yellow and touching orange and helping them. We're going to talk about how do we help people move through that. Do you see that? Do you see the thermometer idea? You feeling it? Anyone? So I'm going to go, come on, thermometer. Who doesn't like a good thermometer? That's okay. I know I can feel you feeling me. Then I'm going to give you a gift that we do have this other opportunity, this opportunity to thrive day to day. You know, that you're energetic, you feel good, you're curious, you can be gracious or have gratitude. And that I felt for me and for many that I met was hard for a long time in our lives, and especially in the past 6 years. These have been challenging times. Fear, uncertainty, doubt, stressors. They were everywhere. But recognizing that there's this opportunity to get to our fullest potential where life is good. Life can have ease. And when you feel that, you know it's possible. So when you're back into that yellow, orange, which trust me, there are times, and we do go there, but there's this hope that we have other opportunities. And again, that's why we're pushing this self-care stack, because we want the blue purple for you. You deserve care. So I'm going to say this, and I hope this resonates. I want to hear from you. On the slide here, I've got manage our stress response. And this is where I'm going to pause, because as leaders, as managers, do we have ultimate control over how people feel, how people think, and then their resulting behavior? Do we have control over other people? No, Tina, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, we've got some policies. We've got hey, listen, I was in the military. It felt like there was a lot of control that they had over. When they said march, I marched. It was a thing. But ultimately speaking, we don't. We could inspire people. We can give them lists of tasks to do. We could be, very communicative and supportive. But the idea there is they're at the steering wheel of their own lives. And so we don't have control over them, but we do have control over us, ourselves. And I've come to realize, and I wonder if you have too, that sometimes making changes or seeing what needs to be changed in ourselves is hard. It's hard. So if we only ultimately have control over ourselves, then maybe one of the things we can offer the people that we're supporting is someone who is managing that stress response, who's taking the best care of themselves in these moments, so we can support the people who are supporting the business that we're in. And so some of these things are relatively straightforward, but fundamentally impactful is being present. Like, remember at the beginning with the damn, I was going to say jellyfish. No, it was the gophers at the beginning. I was saying that when we check in with each other, we're helping people feel seen and heard. Because fundamentally, that's what we humans want. We want to be seen and heard. So we're going to practice for ourselves to be present and to practice mindfulness. The research points to the fact that that is where we need to go in order to be managing our stress more effectively and supporting the people around us. So that's something we can pay attention to. Oh, and this power of the pause. When we're able to access our thinking brain, we're not in that old fight flight. We can actually do let me take a pause here for a moment. Or even if we are in our old primitive brain that's trying to protect us, not in our thinking brain, we can just say, I need a moment. Let's just pause this conversation and get back to it maybe in an hour. There's something about this pause, giving yourself pause, allowing someone else to take a pause, or just pausing what's happening in the moment. It's powerful. And so that's about us being aware of us. And many people that I've spoken to, and much of the research that I've seen, is that we are not really in our minds and bodies in terms of how we feel, how we think, and how we act. So finding out ways to get to self-awareness through mindfulness, breath work, and more. That's what we can offer to others. And pro tip, boundaries. Tina, I like the pause, but me too. And sometimes it's hard. It's like I'm hitting the pause button, but I'm still like, no, we gotta just take a moment here, you know? Yeah, just to really give yourself time to get out of that stress response, time to get back into your thinking brain. Even give yourself pause. If you feel, okay, I gotta go here and then I gotta do that. Sherry, just take a second here. A second. Yeah, it can really help. And the pro tip is the boundaries. Who doesn't like some good boundaries? Who's terrible at boundaries? Who is a work in progress in boundaries? Yeah. Boundaries are ways that we tell people how they treat us. Boundaries are ways that we tell people what respect looks like in this interaction or this relationship. And boundaries can exist not only in your personal relationships, professional relationships, but with your team. Blurry lines about how much you offer support and help, blurry lines about how much you are working and then overworking and then feeling terrible about it without communicating where you need to stop to rest, that can really impact us. So boundaries are ways that we tell other people what we need, how we're treated. So another pro tip, start with a personal boundary. Start with something that you're going to put a boundary on for yourself. Like the one I started trying years ago, which was, I'm going to get myself 8 hours of sleep at night. That was a boundary. I gave myself that boundary. So then when 10 or 30 or whatever, and I'm either working or TikToking, I said, no, this is my boundary. I need to go to bed. Could be a rule. It could be something that you do for yourself so you can practice because you deserve care. All right. I'm going to go into a lightning round of how do we really support each other. And I'm pulling this from years of working on mental health first aid, facilitating courses for veterans, their families, workplaces, and community members. Mental health first aid, just like the title says, and maybe Sam, if you can plop that in the chat too, we've got a course coming up on March 31st. This course, these skills help us recognize when someone's in distress or in a decline, and then how do we engage and support? These are skills for everyone. And thanks, Sam. Andrew, thank you. I tip my hat. So with regards to boundaries, your work in progress. I love that. Usually find myself on the wrong side of the boundary. I've been there. I feel you. And I've also felt like when I've tried to put some boundaries up, that didn't land well with other people. If I'm making changes and trying to share with people respectfully, with trying to move myself out of the stress response so I'm not reacting, I'm consciously responding to them, and it sometimes doesn't land well. So there's a lot to do with that. We have a whole 1 hour session on boundaries as well. And we do talk about it in the self-care stack. But I did want to share with you, and Sam has shared a whole bunch of courses that we have, including that mental health first aid, which really helps you support others, but also it helps your whole team support each other. Why not create an ecosystem of people who know how to respond and care for each other, so that now you've got a collective of care, which then people will be happier at work, more supportive of others, and then in the end, of course, more productive. Right? People have more of a sense of purpose and calm. So what we've seen, because there's a group of facilitators who do these courses, is that listening skills are our number one. And some of us are really practicing, really good at listening, and some of us, we need to practice more and more. I think that this skill set is something that we can sharpen. I like to say, when it comes to supporting other people, is that when we want to show up and be curious and be present for someone, is to show up without judgment about who they are. And so I like to perspective shift in my head and recognize that people are who they are as a result of everything they've experienced. And you may not like some of those reactions and behaviors or thoughts that others are having. But coming to see that people are who they are without that judgment can offer an opportunity for respect and trust, because people will feel when we're being judged. And to highlight too this presence. We all want to be seen and heard. So even taking a few moments and asking a question and really listening, that can be huge and helpful. Curiosity, when you feel like someone's sharing their story or sharing a challenge that they're experiencing at work, instead of jumping to solutions, maybe we get out of that solution space just for a moment and ask them more about what they're experiencing. You'll see that turns these conversations, it's like night to day. I also noticed too that when I'm not my best self, curiosity goes out the window. It is very hard for me to be more curious about people when I'm not doing okay. So that can be something to pay attention to as well. And pro tip, empathy is a learned action. Oh, it's also an innate thing. It's something that we've learned from the people that we grew up with, but it can also be something that you practice. Eye contact, simply remembering people's names, using their names, and asking about their experiences. Empathy, and also recognizing that people are who they are based on their experiences. Empathy is a learned response in that sense. And this is another beautiful pro tip. I am a big fan of the magic of validation, and I think it's a missed skill set in leaders and managers. We could do this. What we mean by validating is validating someone's feelings. If someone shares with you that they're going through a hard time and life is challenging, workloads are hard, and you're kind of like, yeah, but I only gave you half the amount of work that I did from yesterday to today. Why? No, we no problem solving and no judging on that. Just validate where they are in that moment. Hey, that sounds really tough, right? It sounds like there's a lot of work that you're working through, and it's really impacting you. Thank you for sharing that. A validation, then move into problem solving, then move into what do you think is a good next step here? It's a simple, magical moment. Validate somebody's feelings and do it without interrupting. When someone starts to share, and I've done this one before, and I've had this done to me where someone feels like they know what you're going to say, so they just continue on or interrupt. So we're going to try and really pay attention to this interruption. Let someone finish their thought and normalize that where they are is human. Where they are is hard. We humans like to know that we're not isolated in some of these experiences. And pro tip, find questions that help show that you're there and you're caring. Use the Google, use the Chat GPT. Ask for these questions that you can use in interactions. And I tend to have boundary statements as well as validating statements in my pocket that I can use to support people, because the magic of validation, right, when people are seen and heard, can be really, really important. And the last thing I wanted to share with you, and I hope you see this, that the role of managers and leaders is huge. When we have an impact on the people around us, when we have an impact on their time and energy, on their tasks and next steps, that we have to take very seriously. And it starts with us. And so caring for us, because that's really, ultimately speaking, the only place that we have control. Why don't we focus on ways to take care of ourselves and maybe reevaluate this idea of work-life balance? Recognize that it's for us and the people around us. It isn't a seesaw. Work and life, you only have a certain amount of energy, certain amount of time. Understanding that it's about prioritization, taking care of the things that matter for you most and often. And you deserve care, as in self-care. And I hope that leaders and managers recognize, even though when it feels isolating, when you feel like there's no one that you can talk to, you do deserve care. So find ways to take care of you. And again, that's why we've offered this new perspective on self-care that you can bake in day to day. So it's not, I need to spend an hour at the spa. No, it is about taking care of you in these manageable, bite-sized chunks that are meaningful and show a lot of support for you. And then pro tip is knowing the signs of burnout. I mentioned earlier this weighted blanket, this lack of curiosity and compassion, or maybe this shift to being irritated and agitated, right? Or that apathy. You no longer are curious and care about the people that you're supporting. Learn the signs, support yourself through burnout. And that's why I wanted to also mention learning the skills and knowledge can help you do all of this daily. And it changes the way that you support yourself and the people around you. And so that's why we've got a 1 hour, a full day and a half day on this stack. Building your own stress response, building your own care so you can support yourself and others and your families. Because remember, work-life balance is integrated. Every skill you learn in the workplace, you're bringing home to your family. And it changes your life. So I mentioned too, we've got some webinars, 1 hour sessions. You want to bring us in to support your team? We do 1 hour sessions on resilience, on trauma, nutrition, sleep, triggers and boundaries, and more. And also virtual and in person. You deserve care. You deserve a team that thrives. And so that's why also we provide products from the Mental Health Commission of Canada. Mental health first aid. I've got this thing that I want everyone trained in mental health first aid. These are the skills that we need, recognizing when people aren't doing well, and how do you really engage, and then how do you encourage them and support them to the next steps. Remember when they were in that yellow orange, right? The sooner you get help and care, the more likely you get on your good path, your green. Mental health first aid can really help you there. Oh, and there's also something called the working mind. These are full day trainings that help you shift the way that you support others and yourself, changes dynamics in workplaces. Because can you see when people start to see people differently and change the way that they react and respond, the more likely we're creating a new system of people who care, people who can communicate, people who can connect with each other, people who want to be at work, right? Less sick leaves. That's what we're paying attention to. All of these skills can be learned. And so the delivery, a lot of these courses, especially those last two, they're virtual or in person. And we've got clients right across the country who are implementing this in their organizations. Yes, leaders and managers are getting this training. Yes, employees are getting this training. And you get a certificate. Who doesn't like a good certificate in this full day training? And something you can put on the socials, spread the word. And you can also get professional development credits. So if you're in an organization that requires that you get these professional development credits year over year, join us. So the way that you can engage with us to do that, go to our website. Sam's already shared with you our website. Click on that. Go to the live courses that are available. I want to see you at the Stack. What's the date on that one? March 4th, Sam?
Yeah, March 4th.
29 bucks. Look at me. Now I'm turning into a sales rep. 29 bucks. It's a 1 hour session. We talk about taking care of ourselves so we can be there and present for others. Join us for that, very bite-sized piece. And then we'll also talk about other mental health first aid programs available. Go to our webpage. You'll see those there. Try it out. Why don't you try it out? Come and do mental health first aid. It's a full day session on the 21st. See what it's like. And then maybe you'll get that idea of what to bring into your organization to shift the culture, to increase productivity and care, because we all deserve that, don't we? You as a leader and a manager, you don't have to do this alone. Right? We want to be able to support you in that role, because there's a lot of people out there who are like, I wish my manager could. And I know this hurts because we're doing our very best. But we can always do just a little bit better. By doing this work, you'll see the changes. All right, so we've got a lot of information out there. We've talked about some of the ways you can connect with us, including reach out to us, Sherry, broadmind.ca, client care at broadmind.ca. That's Sam. Sam is the one who'll get you all set up with information. Oh, and Sam's the one that takes care of you too. You bring us into your organization to train all your employees. Yeah, we got you. We take care of all of it, right? You just give us the names and the email addresses, and we'll make sure everyone's taken care of. And so there's that March 21st one. Any other thoughts, Sam? Is there something I'm missing?
No, I think you covered everything. It's just we really recommended this. We've seen so much impact with these courses in workplaces, just changing the whole culture and just the narrative around mental health and mental well-being. So we know it'll do wonders for your team. So we just welcome you. We thank you for joining us, taking your time, spending your time with us, and we just hope this is the beginning to a relationship. So thank you, Sherry.
Yeah. I love that too. It is a relationship. We take care of you. We're like hashtag on your team. We not only do the courses, but we provide additional resources. We answer questions from anyone who takes those courses. We connect them with care. So with that, if you have more questions, thoughts, keep bringing it. Otherwise, you've been given the gift of time. Go and enjoy the rest of your lunch. And I look forward to seeing you in the future. Actually, I'll reach out to you and I'll send you some more information. Tina, it was so good to see your face. Thank you. Thanks, Cindy.
One question, Sherry, from Andrew. He said, what about more of the workplace's factors that lead to mental injury? So I don't know if you want to.
Oh, I love that, Andrew. So you know what? My head goes to things like moral injury in that sense. And recently, a lot of people have been saying, organizationally, people are getting impacted by policies and procedures. And so, mental injury in the workplace is something that, 70% of Canadian businesses don't have a mental health plan. Like they don't have a way of understanding if someone gets hurt here, what do we do? And so that to me is something that needs to be addressed. There are some organizations who pay attention to that, so people know that they can put their hand up to say, as a result of the policies and procedures, as a result of the workload, as the result of the person who's been managing me, I am not okay. Those businesses are really working hard to create a safe environment for people to put their hands up and ask for help, to submit concerns and complaints. We're not there yet, especially if 70% of the Canadian businesses don't have an understanding of what mental health and well-being and what the stressors are within the environment that are impacting the individual. So I will also put out there, and many of you know this already, but I'm going to say it, and also let you know that this is a free resource, is that Canada created a standard for psychological health and safety. And so through that standard, organizations can start constructing an idea of how to put together a mental health plan, a health and safety plan, or knit that into their existing health and safety plan. And that could be a start for addressing mental injury in the workplace. It's a voluntary standard. And it is just another way to start looking at what are the things we can do to change. Yeah, and in the veterans community, Andrew, I think you know this, and first responders community, I like to call these trauma-touched professions because there's a lot of significant stressors. And I'd like to make sure that we're done with the comment, well, people knew what they were signing up for. Let's be done with that, right? And recognize that we need trauma-touched professions out there, but we also need to know how do we support people when the trauma is impacting them in such a significant level, because it will impact people differently, but it does, right? He wrote that. Okay, so Andrew, you helped write the standard. Thank you. So what are your thoughts then, Andrew? Knowing that you've got that depth of knowledge, is there anything that you can share? Because that's huge. And I know also there's an international ISO standard out there. So there's information out there to help us, especially, if you're a small organization or a growing organization, to start pointing in the direction of what are other organizations internationally or within Canada, what are they doing? And one of the things that I pulled about 10 years ago from a conference that I was at, where they were trying to implement the standard across the Department of National Defense, and which is a huge beast, right? It's a number of people, different departments, very hard, was the recommendation at the very end was, well, if we can get people trained in mental health first aid, there's a start. And I was like, aha, I think that to me is a really neat way to say, let's start with some foundation skills. And it is a bottom up or a top down approach. But I think that the approach has to be both ways, with leaders and managers doing more training than employees. I hope that makes sense to you. We impact so many people. Wouldn't it be great if we were the more skilled in terms of helping people with their mental well-being, how they feel, how they think, how they act, especially in the workplace? Anything else there? I'm going to ramble more. Okay. How are we organizing the work and how do we manage our people? How are we organizing the work and how do we manage our people? In general, Andrew, I wish we were talking. You know what, Andrew? I think what you and I were going to do, I'm going to reach out to you and we're going to connect, because these are important questions and there are many different ways to approach, of course. But for the people that are here, my big thing is I really believe strongly that we managers, we leaders need to do our work first in order to do any other skill set, any other organizational structure or impact. Because it's these moment to moment pieces and it's us being our best selves to make the best decisions going forward. Andrew, I hope that's okay if you and I can connect afterwards. And I hope you all recognize that the messaging is we only have control over ourselves. We impact so many people. Doing the work, right? And understanding where we are in our stress response, in our own care, can impact tens, hundreds, thousands of people. What did Gandhi say? Be the change. He was right. He was right. There are ripple effects. And I know you're doing the good work because you are here. And thank you for taking the time to be here. You deserve care. Your homework, go do something for you, small, maybe 3 deep breaths, maybe one of the pieces that bring you joy. Fill your cup in a real way. And then join us on the self-care stack on the 4th of March. We're going to talk more about that. All right, with that, 4 minutes left. I am going to tip my hat. Tina, thank you for being present. Your camera on, you get another 50 points, just the way we roll. Cindy, thank you. Stephanie, I'm seeing a bunch of people here in the Zoom. Janelle, thank you. And for all you on the live stream, go take care of you. Well done. Thanks, Tina. Thanks, Stephanie. Well done. Thank you for being here. Well done. I appreciate you.